Are you ready? I said, are you ready? For the very first episode of Music and Moonsaults, I am your host, Chris Bordine, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to wear. What I will do is I'll humbly ask you to please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the little bell for notifications. That way you know as soon as the next video debuts. Leave a comment, good, bad, indifferent, and follow me on Twitter at IbanezChris. And now that all that is out of the way, the subject for today's first episode is the music of D-Generation X. D-Generation X is probably my favorite faction of all time in wrestling. So much so that when I got married 3 years ago now, when we were doing wedding photos, I was very adamant that me and my groomsmen had a few pictures taken where we were doing wrestling poses. And one of the poses we did was all of us doing crotch chops. So yes, I'm a big DX fan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you kind of a history lesson on the group, and as we go along, I'm going to talk about all the different variations of their theme song, because there's been quite a few variations that people may or may not realize of the DX theme song. So we are going to start out in August of 1997, August 11th to be exact. This is when Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Shawn Michaels, which are the two key creators of DX, the first members, along with Chyna and Rick Rude, were the first kind of four initial members of the group. But the main people was Triple H and Shawn Michaels. They first tagged together on TV on August 11th, 97. And this is when WWE tells you DX was formed. And I guess technically that's true. But for me, they don't actually become an official group named DX until later. So in August and September, they're kind of feuding with multiple people. Shawn's feuding with The Undertaker, and they're also feuding against Bret Hart and his Hart Foundation. So on October 6, 1997, which is the night after Hell in a Cell, where Shawn Michaels beat Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell match to become the number one contender for Bret Hart's WWF title. The next night, on the 6th, Bret calls Hunter and Shawn Michaels nothing but a bunch of degenerates, because they're, acting very immature and lots of sophomoric humor and stuff like that. So then the next week, on the 13th, Shawn Michaels, in a backstage segment on the Titantron, while Bret and the Hart Foundation are in the ring, says, "You know what? You say we're nothing but a bunch of degenerates. Well, you're right. In fact, we are D-Generation X." And so that's when the name of the group becomes official, October 13th, 1997, which is why this video is dropping today on October 13th. But it was another month later, on November 10th, which is the day after the Montreal Screwjob, where Bret Hart's leaving the company. He's the champion. They need to get the belt off of him. He says he will not drop the belt to Shawn Michaels in Canada. So Shawn and Vince McMahon and a myriad of other people have claimed to be in on it. They come up with a plan to legitimately screw Bret Hart out of the WWF title at Survivor Series in Montreal. It's commonly known as the Montreal Screwjob. So the next night after that is when the D-Generation X theme officially debuts. So the title of the song is "Are You Ready?" And it's named that simply because the very first thing you hear in the song is, "Are you ready?" Now, the song was created by Jim Johnston, who is the guy who was behind all the classic theme songs from the WWF back in the day, from Ultimate Warrior all the way on down. All those classic themes are, for the most part, Jim Johnston productions. So it was him, and a guy by the name of Chris Warren is the guy who's singing on the song. And so Jim Johnston says that he wanted a long intro for the song to build anticipation. And what that long intro sounds like is after Chris Warren asks the question, "Are you ready?" There's a double kick drum beat that goes like this. And it keeps doing that while Chris Warren is saying things like, "You think you can tell us what to do? You think you can tell us what to wear? Do you think you're better? Well, you better get ready to bow to the masters." And then he yells, "Break it down," and the song kicks in. And Jim Johnston says he used that double bass drum as kind of a guide to get a feel for the tempo of the song. And then he was telling Chris, like, this is some of the stuff that you should say, but make it sound cool. And it does. It sounds really cool. For 1997, it's kind of... and the song's kind of got that Rage Against the Machine vibe. Chris Warren's kind of got a voice like Zach from Rage Against the Machine. So it's got that kind of vibe to it. So after the intro, the verse kicks in. "Degenerate into something, fool. We just got tired of doing what you told us to do. And that's the breaks, boy. And that's the breaks, little man. Break it down." And then the chorus is just him yelling "Degeneration X" a couple times. So and it just pretty much follows that same formula over and over. And so this is, like I said, this is the first theme for DX. It debuts in November, and they use it all the way through pretty much. We get to December, and DX is so hot that the pay-per-view in December is titled "In Your House Degeneration X." So that kind of tells you where they're at. If you think the kind of the three pillars to me of the Attitude Era are Steve Austin, The Rock, and Degeneration X. Those are kind of the three pillars on the WWF side of the Attitude Era for me. So we get to January. It's Royal Rumble time. Shawn Michaels wrestles The Undertaker again, this time in a casket match. And this is where he injures his back and ultimately ends up having to retire after WrestleMania. But also at the same pay-per-view, Mike Tyson is in a skybox. And then the next night on Raw, Vince McMahon brings him to the ring and introduces him as the special guest enforcer for the main event of WrestleMania. And this brings out Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it's the famous scene on Raw where Austin ends up giving Tyson the double birds. There's a shoving match. There's money flying out of Tyson's coat pocket. There's a big pull apart, and Vince is screaming at Austin, "You ruined it! You ruined it!" So then, fast forward to March 2nd, 1998. This time, it's a similar scene, but it's Shawn Michaels and Mike Tyson, and they get in a bit of shoving match. But this time, Shawn rips at Tyson, the shirt that Tyson has on, and underneath of it is this Degeneration X shirt. And it's, oh my gosh, the fix is in. Tyson's going to end up screwing Austin at WrestleMania. How is Austin ever going to overcome the odds? So now Mike Tyson is kind of, I don't think he's officially a member of DX, but he's a member of DX. So much so that he gets his own DX theme song. Now, this is entitled Fist. And I'm going to link all these in the description of this video. I'm going to have links to all the videos for these songs so you can kind of hear them and know what I'm talking about here, because I don't, obviously I can't play them because I don't want to get copyright strike on the video or anything like that. So on this one, instead of introing with "Are you ready?" it intros with "I tell ya, Degeneration X is gonna kick your ass." And then instead of the rock intro, it's like a slap bass, and it's the same, you think you can tell us what to do intro, but it's a lot quicker, and it's like a call and response. So it's like, you think you can tell us what to do? Yeah. You think you can tell us what to wear? Ha ha ha. You think that you're better? Well, you better get ready to bow to the master. And then it comes in, it's a rap song. And the raps are, Tyson-esque. So it's stuff like, all the garbage I've been through, you think I'm scared of you, I'll kill you. Stuff like that. And then the chorus is Degeneration X, who's gonna kick your ass, and that repeats like 4 times. Pretty simple song. So yeah, that was the Mike Tyson theme. So that brings us to WrestleMania 14 and a performance by the DX Band. Now the DX Band is basically just Jim Johnston and Chris Warren and a couple other guys that I searched for longer than I probably should have on this, trying to figure out who these other musicians were, the drummer, the bass player, the other guitar player, and I couldn't find anything. So if any of you out there know who these other guys were, please let me know, because I'm interested. I'm interested to know who was playing with these guys. But yeah, Chris Warren's singing, Jim Johnston's there, and he kind of sticks out like a sore thumb because, all the rest of the guys have, fairly long hair, and, they're dressed like cool dudes in the 90s dressed. And Jim Johnston's got like jeans with his shirt tucked in and short hair and glasses, and he looks out of place. So they play at WrestleMania 14. They play out Triple H and Shawn Michaels, each for their matches. Triple H wrestled Owen Hart for the European title, and Shawn obviously wrestled Steve Austin in the main event. What a lot of people don't know is that they also played earlier in the night, at the very beginning of the night. In fact, they played America the Beautiful and the Star Spangled Banner. Howard Finkel called it their new wave alternative versions of those songs. And I don't know if that's exactly what I would call it, but it was something. It's really bad. In fact, if you can YouTube it, the audio of America the Beautiful is on YouTube, and it's awful. It's so bad that they take it off. It's not on the home video release, and it's not on the network. They pretty much want to pretend like it never existed. That's how bad the performances of these songs are. So, but yeah, they play out Triple H. They play out Shawn Michaels for their matches. They also play out Triple H at SummerSlam of that year, SummerSlam 98, for his ladder match against The Rock for the Intercontinental title. And I think those are the only 2 times that the DX Band played live on television or pay-per-view. So that night, Tyson ends up swerving DX, and he counts the 3 count for Austin on Shawn Michaels. And Austin wins the title. The Austin era has begun. After the match, Shawn goes up to Tyson and is like, hey, what? I thought we had a deal. What? And Tyson ends up hitting him with a knockout punch. And Austin ends up draping an Austin 316 over Shawn's face, which allegedly made Shawn even less happy than what he already was at the time. So, and then Shawn goes away for a while until he comes back later in the year as the commissioner. because he's, his back is hurt, so he's semi-retired. We don't see him wrestle again until 2002. So the next night on Raw, Triple H and Chyna are in the ring, and he basically kicks Shawn out of the group and says, I'm going to recreate DX in my own image. And out comes X-Pac, Sean Waltman, who was previously in the WWF as the 1-2-3 Kid. He was part of the Clique, which was like the backstage group of Sean and Hunter and 1-2-3 Kid, along with Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, and Kevin Nash Diesel. And they kind of were running the wrestling world behind the scenes in the two major companies, in WWF and WCW. Waltman had left WWF to go join Hall and Nash in WCW in 96, and was there all through 97, ended up hurting his neck, and then Eric Bischoff fired him. So as soon as he was able, he signed back with WWF and joins DX. And they also add the New Age Outlaws that night. So the new DX is Triple H, Chyna, X-Pac, and the New Age Outlaws. So now X-Pac gets his own DX theme music. And it's called Make Some Noise. And it's essentially the same as the Tyson music. Again, the very beginning is a little different. This time it's Chris Warren screaming, "Make some noise," followed by someone else shouting X-Pac. So then the intro is the exact same as Tyson's theme. The "You Think You Can Tell Us What to Do" part with the slap bass and everything. And musically, it's all the same as the Tyson theme. They just put different lyrics over top of it. So after the intro, the verse is the first verse from the original song, "Degenerate into Something Full," etc., etc. Then there's a second rap verse, with lyrics about X-Pac, like putting more mind to it stops, speak my mind, I keep rocking that bottom line, suck it, 2 tears in a bucket, which Road Dogg uses in his pre-match promos when he and X-Pac were a tag team in a couple years. Instead of "we got 2 words for you, suck it," it'd be 2 tears in a bucket, and if you ain't down with that, we got 2 words for you, suck it. But then the chorus is the same as the Tyson theme: "Degeneration X, who's gonna kick your ass," repeated. So that's the X-Pac theme. DX goes strong all throughout 98. Lots of sophomore humor and pranks. They invade WCW. Just a bunch of classic stuff. They mock the Nation. They spoof the Nation, which is problematic now because X-Pac is using blackface in that. So today that segment wouldn't fly. The DX is strong all the way through 98, through the beginning of 99. Then some cracks start to form. Chyna ends up joining Vince McMahon's evil corporation, and there's sort of like a battle for her. Triple H is, they don't come right out and say that him and Chyna are an item, but it's heavily implied. There's even an instance where Triple H has a shot at the WWF title in an I Quit match, and in order to make him say "I quit," like Kane acts like he's going to chokeslam Chyna, so he says "I quit," and then of course they swerve him and they end up beating him up anyway. This brings us to WrestleMania 15. Triple H is wrestling Kane, and Chyna turns on Kane and rejoins Triple H. So we think, all right, DX is one big happy family again. A little later in the night, X-Pac is wrestling Shane McMahon for the European title, and Triple H and Chyna end up turning on X-Pac and screwing him out of the match. So DX splinters at that point. Triple H and China and the corporation. Everyone else is kind of left going, what the heck's going on? The Outlaws are broken up because they decided to have them go on singles runs. Billy Gunn ends up winning the King of the Ring in June. And then in July at Fully Loaded, they do a tag match of Billy Gunn and China versus X-Pac and Road Dogg, where the winners get the rights to the DX name. And nothing really ever comes of that match. And then fast forward to October of 99. By this point, Triple H is a top guy. He's been WWF champion already a couple times. And he's kind of feuding with The Rock and Mankind and Steve Austin all at the same time. So he needs some backup. So he calls on his buddies DX. So on October 25th, 1999, DX reunites. But it's a different dynamic this time. They're not gone. Is the sophomore humorous nature. They're really, DX is pretty much Triple H's lackeys at this point. Like, Triple H is clearly world champion, top guy, and everyone else is just kind of down here. The Outlaws get a couple more runs with the tag team titles, but really they're there to protect Triple H from all his enemies. In November, Triple H ends up marrying Stephanie McMahon, and they become the McMahon-Helmsley regime, or McMahon-Helmsley faction. And they're running roughshod over the WWF at this point. And that brings us into 2000, where we get a remix of the original Are You Ready theme, where it's basically the same as the original. Subtle differences. The Are You Ready at the very beginning of the song has a ton of echo on it. And then the rest of the intro is the same, but instead of the last line being break it down, it ends with the screaming D-Generation X from the chorus, and followed by a couple yas and an before the verse starts. So it's a little bit different. But like I said, essentially it's the same song. And they don't use that very much, to be honest. It's not their theme for very long. Because at the end of February, they debut the final brand new DX theme. In March, WWF is getting ready to release an album called Aggression, which was a bunch of rap artists performing reimagining of a bunch of different superstar themes. And not a lot of people used theirs, or if they did, they didn't use them for very long. Big Show used his for about a month. The Rock used his for like a week. He used it for like one Raw and one SmackDown. And Godfather used his for a little while. In fact, he even had Ice-T rap him and D'Lo Brown out to the ring at WrestleMania 2000 that year. But other than that, the DX one is the only one that really was used very much. And that's because it was done by Run DMC. And it's called The Kings. Like I said, they debuted it on TV in late February. Because it was debuted right after Billy Gunn gets hurt or just before the No Way Out pay-per-view. They lose a match at No Way Out against the Dudleys where they hardly get any offense in. And then the following week, they kick Billy Gunn out of the group. And then after that is when they debut this new Run DMC theme. And I really love this theme. Nothing beats the original, but this is a close second. I enjoy listening to this theme. As I stated in my preview video, I've been listening to or watching a lot of 2000 WWF, and this theme it's awesome. I forgot how good it was until I got reacquainted with it, watching the TV, and it's great. I love it. So, but it's essentially the same as the original. Again, the music is, and then but it's just Run DMC doing their thing over the top of the music. So, like I said, check it out. It's great. I highly recommend it. So, and then they use this until the group disbands quietly in August. X Pac and Road Dogg start this friendly rivalry thing. They have a match at SummerSlam, and after that, DX just kind of is done. So, and that is, and the Run DMC theme is X Pac has gone on record saying that's his favorite theme. He prefers that over his own theme. In fact, not this Mania season, but the Mania season before, when DX got inducted into the Hall of Fame, he wrestled a couple indie shows that weekend. And I remember listening to his podcast, and he was saying that at one of the indie shows, he got upset because he told the promoter, hey, don't play my X-Pac theme, play the Run DMC theme. And they didn't. They played the wrong one. So that kind of miffed him a little bit, but that's just a little anecdote there. But yeah, so after they quietly disband, we really don't see anything out of DX until 2006. There's one night in 2002. Again, I mentioned 2002 is when Shawn came back to wrestle. He wrestled Triple H at SummerSlam of 2002. And on the way there, they do they tease a reunion, a DX reunion between the two, but it ends up being a swerve, and Triple H beats the crap out of Shawn Michaels instead. And that kicks off their rivalry heading into SummerSlam. So, but they do actually reunite in 2006. Both Triple H and Shawn are having their problems separately with Mr. McMahon and his cronies, the Spirit Squad. So on the June 12th, 2006 edition of Raw, Triple H is getting beat down by all 5 members of the Spirit Squad. Out comes Shawn Michaels to save the day, and DX is officially back. And they start a feud with Vince and Shane and the Spirit Squad. And they stay together until Triple H gets hurt in January of 2007. And Shawn keeps the DX thing going through WrestleMania. I was really happy. I went to WrestleMania that year, WrestleMania 23. He wrestled John Cena in the main event, and I was really happy that he ended up coming out to the DX theme. So, because I was, like I said, I love DX, I love the theme, and it was cool that he still came out to that instead of his Sexy Boy theme, which is a great one too, but it was cool just to see him come out to the DX theme that night. But when they did this reunion, they did a remix of the song with no real difference other than on the intro, the guitars are a lot heavier, thicker, something like they either added more distortion to them or added a bunch of layers or both. But other than that, it's the same song. And that was it. That's the end. That is all the DX themes. So, hope that was informative. I hope that was enjoyable for you. Hopefully I didn't bore you too much with the details, but I thought it was interesting when you go through the various versions of the DX theme song, how many there were and what the differences were and stuff like that. Like I said, in the description for this video, I'll have all the links for all these songs where you can listen for yourself and kind of get what I'm talking about for reference. So, that's it for this video. Again, leave a thumbs up and comment and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. So this series, the Music and Moonsault series, I'll call this the flagship. I'll be doing one of these a month, and I want to try and have them like this one I'm releasing on the anniversary of DX being named. I want to try and keep them as much as I can timely like that. I have already an idea for November, and I have an idea for January. I don't have one for December, so if any of you out there have an idea for a December theme or topic, let me know. Tweet me or leave it in the comments, and we'll see if we can't come up with something. I also, and this may not be as regular, I'm going to try and do it every month, but we'll see. Depends on time. I want to do a separate music show that's not necessarily wrestling related. And I also want to do a separate wrestling show that's not necessarily music related. And those will be like the wrestling show will unless something huge happens current day, those will probably be like a retro review type deal. And I'll try and have guests on for those. So again, if you want to be a special guest, let me know. And same with the music show. I'll try and keep it timely, either an album or an event that happens in that particular month, and we'll talk about it. And again, maybe have a guest on, maybe not, and yeah. So that's kind of my plan for this. If there's anything else you guys would like, let me know. Again, comment, leave me suggestions, critiques. Be gentle. But yeah, any ideas that you have that could make this better, let me know. I'm all ears. I want to make this as good as possible. So, all right. Well, with all that being said, I just have 2 words left for you. See ya.